48M husband says to me 30F he can't cope with my period. My immediate answer to him was, don't. He looked baffled as it seems he was ready to go into details. A little backstory: last month I had the flu, my period, and a UTI, 2 antibiotics. All at the same 4 days span. It was exhausting and I was bedridden. I didn't ask him for anything. At the time we were staying at a 5-star all-inclusive resort, part of a 2 weeks holiday, and he was spending most of his time with our son. I don't ask him to do anything for me during my period, but he seems to dislike me expressing any human needs. I said to him he lacks empathy for me, and doesn't view me as a human. He did not deny. How would other women out there respond if their man said this to them, or made them feel like their monthly period is too much to handle? Imagine being nearly 50 and still being a whiny little Suki Baba. So your husband can't deal with basic human woman functions? And you married him? I would laugh in his face, to be honest. How weak is a man that thinks that way? This isn't something happening to him. How does he think his child was possible? Just wow. My first husband would say he could smell it and make me sleep on the couch. Why we women accept the crappiest of behavior from the one supposed to be our true partner. I stayed 12 years too long. My husband now actually shows kindness and compassion. We've been married 10 years now and it keeps getting better. I hope you find your way. You deserve better from a mate. You married a man almost 20 years older than you and you're surprised he's an immature man, baby? There's only one reason why a man would reach down in age almost 20 years to find a woman to marry. No woman his own age will have anything to do with him. In fact, he proved it to you. I said to him he lacks empathy for me, and doesn't view me as a human. He did not deny. Is this really the simultaneously older man and man-baby you want to wake up next to for the rest of your life? Seriously, you need to find your self-respect. Don't raise your son in a family where the male role model is such a worthless loser. Is this new? But I've long said that if you can't handle everything that comes with being with someone that has a vagina, you don't deserve the fun parts of being with someone with a vagina. My 34F partner, 33M, gets triggered when I am lazy. How do I get him to overcome this? I work 40 hours per week, and I keep a super clean and tidy home for us. I go to reformer Pilates twice a week, as well as walk our dogs, jog, and the occasional road bike. If I ever have a sleep-in or a lazy day, I can feel the tension from my partner and he keeps asking me if I want to come for some fresh air or if I want to do specific things. For example, today I was pretty under the weather with a bit of a temp, sore ears, and I've almost lost my voice. I had a sleep-in and have relaxed on the couch and did some planning for my friend's bachelorette party. My partner has been indifferent and snappy at me all day, and asked if I want to go for a walk on the neighboring farm, in the cold and rain. I used to be a lot more active, training for triathlon, etc., but due to a recent MCL and meniscus injury I've had to slow down a bit. Growing up I always got in trouble for any time of rest or sleep-in, so I've just recently learned to listen to my body when I need to relax. Especially since I've even been recently going through some significant medical testing due to syncope, fainting episodes and chronic pain. Actually lost my driver's license for 6 months because of it. He's very active with sport, hobbies, and even his career. He never stops, quite often going to bed at 7:30,830 p.m. every night as he crashes. It's just making me start to feel like shit, and a bad person for taking some slow days. I even feel like he is really unattracted to me on the days that I choose to rest. I've tried to talk to him about it, but he just kind of denies it and gets angry. Anyways, not sure how to get through to him that sometimes it's just okay to breathe. Does he realize that instead of getting triggered by your laziness, he can fuck off and do something by himself somewhere else? He sounds like a nightmare to live with. Why do you tolerate this? You're sick. You're supposed to be resting. What is his problem? You are right to listen to your body. When your body needs rest, it is important to rest. Good for you for overcoming your childhood where your rest wasn't supported, and now taking better care of yourself. Your partner is now treating you like your family did when you were young. I've heard the theory that you marry a person with the attributes of one of your parents. The theory goes that this is to work out your childhood trauma from that parent, that you are attracted to familiarity. It is time for a firm boundary here. Stand up for yourself in the way that you couldn't do when you were a child. I think by being with this guy you're subconsciously recreating the toxic environment you grew up in, because it's familiar. This is no way to live. The next time he tries to go to bed early, wake him up and tell him he's lazy if he can't stay up till midnight. God, he sounds like an AH. Your entire life is going to be high stress, walking in eggshells so as not to upset the hall monitor. Me, I'd literally say F off. I get to rest and crash out and sleep in and lay around. It's called rest, and who the F is he to monitor your activities when all of your chores and life is in order? Are you supposed to be at work? Plus, can he leave you the F alone sometimes? Honestly, It's always going to be miserable. Sounds like this is something that could really escalate if having a child. Postpartum you need a lot of rest and very hard to keep up a home. I had a partner who turned against me postpartum because I didn't clean and cook enough. It was a nightmare. Consider this a red flag and think if this dynamic is healthy and worth it. My 32F husband, 36M, staged an intervention after I told him I wanted a divorce. I, 32F, have been married to my husband, 36M, for 6 years. It's my first serious relationship. I love him, he's funny, charming and intelligent and we share a lot, but he has always been a little hot-headed. Some context first. A few months ago, a situation at work went badly and I fell into the burnout. I'm autistic, and the burnout has made my executive dysfunction much worse. I've been on sick leave ever since. I have very little energy. Even basic things leave me exhausted. I sleep a lot, socialize very little, skip meals. I know it's bad but I am doing my best. My husband has been very frustrated that I'm not respecting his needs. We don't have sex, I don't cook every day, and the house isn't as tidy as he'd like. Multiple times, I didn't take care of things while he was at work so he yelled at me. Others, I made him ignore me for hours. I tried to explain that I was struggling too much and he replied that I was using my situation and exaggerating my symptoms for attention. I tried to push myself to meet his needs and keep up with the house, but every time I quickly got too tired and had to stop. I tried to tell him but said he didn't want to hear it because he has enough on his plate. I never know if I am going to make him angry. I have been crying almost every day and I don't know if it's the burnout or if it's because I can't be there for him. I felt like it would be better for both of us to take a break. He refused and said THDT is his wife. It was my legal duty to be there in sickness and in health. 2 weeks ago, I finally told him I wanted a divorce. He had a meltdown and he yelled for hours, saying I was just confused because of my mental health. He apologized later and said I shouldn't act irrational like that. I hesitated for a few days and I told him I still wanted to leave. AMD he had another meltdown. Yesterday, I woke up and went downstairs to find my husband, his parents, and my parents, all waiting for me. They said they were extremely worried, that they never get news except from my husband. He reported to them he was scared for me because I was isolating and harming myself. They told me it was okay to need help, that I needed stability. They said they were all there for me no matter what. I cried the entire time. I felt cornered, humiliated, and defensive. I felt like that was not normal. But now I don't know what to think. After they left he said he contacted my GP and psychologist to let them know how bad it is, and booked an appointment with a psychiatrist on my behalf. He said they all care about me and want to help me be myself again. Part of me still wants to leave, but another part of me wonders if they're right. I still love him, and I'm definitely not at my most stable right now. I am in the fog. To be honest, I feel really selfish and guilty about all of this. I am completely overwhelmed. Could you guys give me an outside perspective on this? Thanks a lot. Edit. Thanks everyone, so many replies, I am grateful. I can't answer everyone right now but I can give a few thoughts and infos. I see my GP every 2 weeks. I was on Cipralex but we had to stop because of side effects, now we are trying mirtazapine. I had already seen a therapist before a few years ago and my husband called her and my GP yesterday to tell them I needed help before book NG the appointment with the psychiatrist he found. I'll go to the appointments and give them my perspective. I have an okay relationship with my parents, they see me as fragile and don't always understand the autism. I think I will try to talk with Tem about what was going on and ask if I can stay with them temporarily. And get better before deciding on the divorce. I'll rest for now, this is a lot to take in. Thanks everyone. Just talk to a psychiatrist then decide. They can help you more than Reddit. You need to see a doctor ASAP. For yourself. You can do both, you can speak to the doctors and still leave your husband. My ex-husband did this. I was sick and had to have 2 minor surgeries. It had to do with my reproductive organs, so sex was off the table. He became abusive. I left. He called the cops and said I was missing for a week and they picked me up and took me to a psych ward. My parents believed him. He's now my ex-husband. I'm no con at the asshole CT with my parents and am married to a man that understands my mental health, PTSD and BPD from my parents and ex, and picks up the slack when I just can't function. Leave him, op. You deserve better. Be careful that he isn't setting you up so that he can gain total legal control over you and all your household and family affairs. It sounds like you do need medical care, even though you went about that the wrong way. Please go to therapy and a medical doctor and don't worry about this until you've gotten your health back. I think my 37M partner hide my 36F passport. Okay, so here's the story. Every year I try to get away on holiday with my university friends. We managed this year to find time for a week break. My partner sometimes has a hard time with this, but he's been invited multiple times but doesn't want to go as we like to sightsee and not just sit by pools, and he doesn't make me feel bad before going by saying the dog will miss me and he can't look after him the way I can, which then makes me feel guilty. I was sorting my plans out this week and was looking for my passport, which is always stored in two places, my shelf or the drawer we keep important documents in. For some reason it vanished. We spent 2 days tipping the house upside down to find it. We couldn't, so I spoke with my friends and said I'd have to cancel this year as my passport's gone missing. My partner seemed like he was upset for me, although it looked like he was trying to stifle a grin. And I took it is what it is and no point in getting upset about it. So the next day my sisters and mum come over and try to look with me again, as I knew I hadn't lost it and I have seen it a month before. When I say we looked, I mean we looked. Everything was sorted through and even places my passport couldn't have got to was searched. I gave up and told my friends to cancel my ticket. I go out with the family for tea and all of a sudden my partner calls and says he's found my passport inside a book. A book, may I add, that I had searched inside of myself, and it wasn't just tucked away at the back of the cupboard but at the front in full view. He's had some past history of being controlling, and I've heard stories from people who knew his exes that he's a little controlling. I don't want to believe he would hide my passport and then last minute pretend to find it, but my friends and family believe that's the case, and that it seems too convenient to just appear. What's everyone's thoughts? Believe your friends and family. You know you looked in that book, and it wasn't there. He lied about it. Bin the man and get your freedom back. This is terrifying. Get out. This is controlling behavior. Your passport, magically, reappearing after you cancelled your trip is highly suspicious. Trust your gut and confront him firmly. If he gaslights you, have good thought to yourself, reconsider this relationship. If it isn't too late to resurrect the trip now your passport has been found, use the time to move out, or, alternatively, kick him out. You know what he has done, albeit you may not want to face up to that. You need to leave this SSHOLE in your rearview mirror. He must not form any part of your future. Good luck, I fear you'll need it. You are too old for this shit. Thanks for all the great advice. I still managed to go on my trip in the end, and I'm gonna use this time to sort my head out and get out.